Hey, I'm Mary Grothy, CEO of Sales BQ. Welcome to this episode of the Quota Crusher podcast. Today, we're going to talk all about sales compensation. Hoy, what a big topic. For those of you that don't know, we get to oversee dozens of sales teams across the country. In fact, we serve as what we refer to as fractional VPs of sales. I employ 5 very talented, amazing VPs of sales, and they each oversee about 3 sales departments across the country. And they report direct to the CEO, or if there is an existing VP of sales on staff, they work in tandem with them. But we get brought in to do what we call rebuild the sales department. We focus in 3 areas: build, hire, drive. Build is where we focus on infrastructure, systems, processes, territories, compensation, different rep roles, really the whole engine and sales process flow. Then we focus on talent and getting people from mediocre performance to top sales performance, and we also recruit. And then we stick around for the ROI. We're in the field with them. We do in-the-field sales coaching and training. We hold them accountable. We run sales team meetings and bring in the new essence of a high-performing sales culture. But in the build phase, one of the most common projects we are asked to work on is sales compensation. It's a huge topic. And I want to share with you a few nuggets that I have come across. One, I feel like the sales comp plans of yesteryear are super outdated and old, and they don't align with today's sales performers. Here's what I'm talking about. Like when I was in sales, starting back in 2008 is when I went into a sales role. 2006, I started with the company as a sales admin. But the thought back then was to have a very low base salary and very high earning potential based on commission earned on sales. And as part of that comp plan, there were so many pieces of the comp plan, it was very difficult for an average person or new to that company or industry to understand. And I liked a lot of pieces about the comp plan, but I'm seeing that in today's day and age, as we head into 2020, teams and salespeople are looking for more simplified and easy to understand compensation plans. So let's talk about what I was on, and then let's talk about what we're seeing to be very popular today, loved by both salespeople and sales managers and CEOs. All right, I was on a $42,000 base salary with on-target earnings between $125,000 to $150,000, depending on what products I sold and how much of that was a setup fee versus monthly recurring revenue on the product. Now, my quota at the time was around $300,000 in revenue, so you had an opportunity to make about 50% of the total top line revenue that you brought in for the company, which was standard for the industry I was in. But what was confusing is you had multipliers, then you had quarterly bonuses, then you had annual performance bonuses, then you had a bonus based on different levels of award qualifications. So you had 3 award qualifications that also came with a trip and a monetary bonus. And then there was a program that was layered in on top of that was based on lifetime sales achievement. As you would hit certain goals, you'd make more money. It's a little complex. I actually really liked the comp plan because I'm not money motivated. That low base salary didn't really bother me. I was really young in my career. In fact, this was a sales job that I walked into after being paid as an hourly employee at like $15 an hour. So it was a huge increase for me. I was making about $30,000 a year. So to step into sales at $42,000 base was actually a really big pay increase for me and was pretty remarkable. However, the company really struggled recruiting top sales performers from other organizations that were making $80,000 to $100,000 in a base salary and bringing them over because the company I worked for had zero interest in paying a higher base salary. And so it was take the $42,000, take it or leave it, but we all had an opportunity to make a lot of money. So on target earnings between $125,000 and $150,000 if you sold at quota, which was around $300,000. Now, in my career, I never sold at $300,000. In fact, I sold way closer to $1 million. So my earnings were several $100,000 a year. And that's why the comp plan to me, I didn't really care because I just knew I was going to make a lot of money. I wasn't money motivated. I'm intrinsically motivated. I cared more about being number one in recognition. So hitting me at that stage in my career at $42,000 was, again, it was a pay increase for me. It was fine. But I did watch the company struggle significantly from a recruiting standpoint all the way back in 2008. to attract great sales performers because that base salary was so low. And they were trying to recruit them on other key concepts like we're a great company to work for. We're consistently rated in top training magazine and top like ethispheres. I could never say that word. Ethispheres, most ethical companies to work for. It was also recognized as a top company to sell for, big branding recognition, a lot of inbound referrals and leads. There's my air quotes for those of you not watching the video. Leads. But that was a selling point for them. And they were attracting people based on those merits. But unfortunately, you still had a lot of really top performers that didn't want to work for that little of a base salary. So here's what we've noticed in the trends. A lot of today's CEOs in smaller companies building out sales departments came from that environment, right? They're my age or a little bit older. And they came from the sales comp plan of yesteryear, where you could get away with these super low base salaries and have really high on target earnings. Unfortunately, that's just not how it is anymore. One, the cost of living has significantly increased in the major cities. If you're in a rural area, you could probably get away with that lower base salary, but we'll talk about doing comp analysis here in a second. For the most part, right now for Sales BQ, we have 18 contract recruiters across the country, staffed in all the major markets, and we recruit for companies coast to coast. I get to be a part of these conversations every single day of the week. So please know that this is coming from a very valid data source. Good salespeople don't want low base salaries. I'm sorry. They don't. Now, I hear a lot of executives, CEOs, VPs of sales responsible for a sales budget say, well, I only have X amount of dollars for it. Well, let's talk about this. If you only have so much cash flow, and so you say, I can only afford a $40,000 or $50,000 base salary, you are severely limiting your talent pool. And what's going to happen is you're going to find somebody willing to work for 40 to 50K because they're probably a mediocre sales rep who's already on the chopping block with their current employer, and they're not the right talent for you. So sure, you could probably find somebody willing to work for that base, but they're probably not going to be the best hire. So you've got to ask yourself, would you rather spend $40,000 to $50,000 a year on a low base to get a C or B player that may or may not sell because it's better for your cash flow today? Or would you rather enhance your recruiting efforts and figure out how to attract top talent through using our RPAC model? It's a proprietary method that we came up with because we interview thousands of sales candidates a year to place for our clients. And we brought in a model called RPAC, which is role match, proven achievement, acumen, and culture fit. Are you screening them in appropriate ways to find the salespeople that are going to come in and immediately sell for you and they truly are a top 10% rep and a top sales performer? Wouldn't you rather spend like a 90K base on them to know that you're going to get sales within the first 3 months and they're going to crush the number and be profitable for you in year one? Wouldn't you rather spend twice as much on a base salary when really in the grand scheme of things, it's not that much? Like if your annual quota is 500,000 or $1 million or whatever, if you know that you're going to get that out of a rep and you get it out of a higher base salary rep, like why wouldn't you do it? I know there's a lot of fear for smaller companies thinking like, well, gosh, that would take all of my cash flow. Okay. Well, you have a choice to make. You could just burn through 50% of your available cash flow for the next 6 months and have no sales performance, or you can use 100% of your cash flow today and within 90 days, turn a profit. So you have to really look in the mirror and do a gut check on what today's top sales performers actually want to make and how comp plans are built. So here's what we're seeing. One, you need to do a comp analysis. You've got to get a benchmark. You can do this through some online tools. You can do it for free through free tools on Indeed, Glassdoor, even LinkedIn has a sales rep comp analysis tool that's free. You just have to Google for it. There are some paid services that are pretty remarkable and get into very granular detail, like PayScale. And no, I'm not paid to share any of this. Those are ones that we've used. You need to look at what your competitors are paying. And you also need to realize that from a recruiting standpoint, if you want a proven achiever, a top 10% performer, they're probably not going to be interested in making a lateral move. Like if they're not proactively applying for your job, if you're using any sort of recruiter or your internal team is recruiting and you're sourcing a rep, please be prepared to make a great offer to that person. If they're currently at a 65 base, they're probably not willing to make a move for less than 10% increase on their current base. So maybe offer them something in the low 70s. If you really want them, you may be competing at a 75 to 85 range. You have to be willing to show up and pay and provide a comp plan. Now, the cool thing about great comp plans is for the hiring manager conversation here with that CEO, VP, even if you offer them a 6-figure base, you don't have to look at, okay, this person's going to cost me $100,000. You do realize that salespeople need to be held accountable for performance. So let's say in the first 90 days, they haven't hit their ramp goals. They're not performing. They're not the right culture fit. They don't align with what you're looking for, and you're just not seeing that hustle and perseverance. Like, you just know in the first 90 days they're not going to be successful. Well, don't keep them around for a year at $100,000 to see if they turn it around. Let them go. Put them on a PIP. Let them go. Work them out of the organization. If you're working with a recruiting firm like ours, we have a 90-day guarantee, right? So if you're working with a recruiter, we replace that person in 90 days. And that's pretty standard for the market. So any recruiter would be doing that. So I would look at breaking that big base salary down by a monthly fee. So $100,000 a year, $83.33 per month. Okay, make it a $16,000 decision, not a $100,000 decision, because you're going to know within 60 days or 90 days. So maybe it's a $24,000 decision that you're going to know if this person is going to produce or not. But you're going to have a higher chance of attracting the right talent at that level. So I do really challenge you to do a comp analysis. That's step number one. What are your competitors paying? What does your industry pay? And really also, what can you stomach from your cash flow? And depending on the size of the company and the stage that you're in, what can you do? Also, what I've noticed is a lot of these top performers, they aren't really looking for these huge, now don't shoot me, the top performers who are extrinsically motivated and want to make several $100,000 a year, don't send me a mean message, just hear me out. From our experience and what we're recruiting for right now, for example, we recruit in big markets like LA and New York City. We're able to bring in very, very top performing reps that at quota, so maybe they have a $400,000 or $500,000 quota, $100,000 base salary, they're going to be making about a 150 OTE. But these are not quota producers. These are quota crushers. They know they're going to sell 200% of their quota. And so they're looking for a comp plan that once they meet quota has significant escalation in earnings. So bringing in that next multiplier. So they're able to make $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year in earnings. But you have to go to what the salespeople want. So people build comp plans and then they try to attract people to fit the comp plan. I would ask you to shift your thinking and think about, what do the top salespeople want to make? How do they want their compensation built in order to work for you, for that to be an attracting mechanism, if you will, for your company? Step number 2 is to look at building a comp plan that's going to incent the right behaviors. So looking at a base salary that's competitive and draws the right people, but not too big. So some employers have the opposite problem. Some of them are paying these huge base salaries and then they're not getting performance. Well, yeah, at $175,000 base salary, guess what? Your salesperson is living off of that so lavishly. They don't need to perform. So don't swing the pendulum too far the other way and have this huge base salary. Like, don't do that. You've got to be right where the market says you can attract top performers, but it's still low enough that they want to perform. So when we look at building a comp plan, we want to add a couple of variables that incent the right performance. But upon recent studies, we are seeing that the more simplified comp plan, it's easier to understand by reps, is preferred. So this is where you need to do a little research and a little testing within your current group, and also maybe talking to some of your peers that run or similar companies or sales departments. But here's what we're finding. If you can simplify the comp plan to either be multipliers, so the first $100,000 in revenue you sell, here's your multiplier. Second $100,000 that you sell, it goes up, it goes up, it goes up, it goes up. Maybe some milestone achievements, a bonus. Hey, when you get to your quota, you get a $10,000 bonus. Okay, that's very easy for people to understand. I hit my quota, I get $10,000. Maybe there's a president's club or conference achievement or trip or something they can win that also has a bonus achievement. But have them work towards something. If you have just a flat comp plan, it's a $75,000 base and then you earn 10% on everything. There's no milestones built in there. There's no desire to hit a monthly quota versus a quarterly quota or an annual quota. you aren't incenting the right performance. My recommendation is if you're a highly transactional business with really high volume and small ticket prices, maybe you even bring in a monthly bonus. Hey, you have a monthly quota, you hit your monthly quota, you get an extra $250. Great. If you hit your quarter quota, maybe you miss a month, but you can make it up on the quarter, you get a quarter bonus. And then at the end of the year, maybe you get 1% of everything that you sold. If you hit your quota, you can qualify for that bonus. But you should always be having them work towards the behavior that you want. If you want your reps to hit a monthly quota, put in a monthly bonus. If you want your reps to hit a quarterly quota, put in a quarter bonus. If you want your reps to hit the annual number, put in an annual number. You hit your quota, get a bonus. Then I think it is really attractive to build out that lifetime sales achievement model. Maybe it's something like for every $1 million in sales that you do, and forgive me, people listening, I don't know your average revenue per sale. I don't know what your salespeople sell in a year. Maybe they only sell 200,000. Maybe they sell 5 million in a year. They have a $10 million quota. Just adjust what I'm saying for your specific sales environment. But if you have a lifetime sales achievement, maybe for every $1 million that you sell, you automatically get a $5,000 increase in your base salary and a $5,000 one-time payout bonus, right? Who knows? This is a great retention tool for you. And it also helps keep your staff engaged, your salespeople engaged, and it helps them work to that next milestone. So whereas you have indicators throughout the year that they're pushing for like that quarterly or annual bonus within a year, achieving against their quota, in the back of their mind, they're also working towards that lifetime sales achievement. So you're going to get extra production out of that person. But these are just a few things to think about. And I'm going to produce a blog on this. So we'll tie the video podcast and audio podcast here with a written blog that you'll be able to find on my LinkedIn. You can find me, Mary Grothe, Grothe. Also, you can go to salesbq.com and we'll have that blog posted there. But we'll be posting both of these live in tandem with each other. So you'll be able to link to that. And I think you all have just inspired me to create a downloadable template as well for different comp modeling options. And we can show those to show you what we do and help you see these different types of compensation plans. So there you go. You just motivated me to give back to our sales community. So that'll be available on our website as well for that download. But hopefully this information is helpful to you. We do offer some advice and feedback on compensation planning. It's one of the things that we do. If you're interested, give us a call. But it has been a pleasure, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Quota Crusher podcast. And be sure to connect with me on LinkedIn. Subscribe. You can subscribe on YouTube or on the audio version for our podcast. But you can also learn more at salesbq.com. Thanks, everybody.